my book and wax friends. I'm Amber. Welcome to my channel and to my January reading wrap up. So these are the books that I did get through for the month of January. First off, I will put up a graphic of what was on my official TBR for the month of January. And as you can see, I finished 6 out of the 9 books from my official TBR. So I'm pretty proud of myself for that. And then overall, I did not DNF any book. So every book that I started reading, I did finish. So the ones that were on my TBR that you just saw, I just never got to them. So I'm proud of myself though. 7 out of the 9, I said 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. 6 out of the 9 I was able to get through. But it is my personal best record this month, or this past month was my personal best record as far as how many books that I read. Not that I tried to cram them all in, but it's a personal best. I read 15 books in the month of January. 6 of those books were rereads. 3 of them were, we'll get to it. So let's jump into it. I know you're here to see what books I actually read and my thoughts on them. So let us get to it. So the first one I read in the month of January was actually, I had started it the last day or 2 in December, but I finished it in January, so I'm counting it as a January read, and that is Skipping Christmas by John Grisham. And before I forget again, I do the home fragrance I melted with the books, and that will be at the end of the video. I will have timestamps for you. I always forget to say at the very beginning, but this is my Books and Bars series, my reading wrap up, and the wax that I used with the books. So stay tuned for that at the end if you are interested in that part. So Skipping Christmas is by John Grisham. I gave it a 3.5 stars. I know there is a movie, Christmas with the Cranks, that this book is, or the movie is based on this book. I've never actually seen that movie though, so it was all new to me reading this book. And I had a good time. It 3.5 stars, so it was a good time. It was about a couple named Luther and Nora. Their daughter has graduated college, I think, and she goes off to, I think it was Peru, to help those less fortunate in Peru. She's going to be gone for the year. And so because of that, Luther gets the idea in his head to skip Christmas. Instead, he sees all the money that they spent the past few years on Christmas, all the stuff, commercialism, that sort of thing. And he decides and tells his wife, hey, I think we should save the money since our daughter's not going to be around anyway for the year, for this Christmas, and go on a cruise instead. And so that is their plan. And the neighbors aren't very happy about it. Everyone in the neighborhood isn't very happy about the fact that they aren't doing anything for Christmas, because a lot of them have come to expect certain traditions from them, decorating like the rest of the neighborhood. They usually have a Christmas party, or they invite people. They give money, of course, to different charities. So they're not doing any of that. They've nixed all of that. So it's those neighbors and community aren't very happy about their choice. So it's about that and the hijinks that end up ensuing. I did feel like so many people had their panties in a wad over the fact that they decided not to celebrate. And to me, it's like, mind your own business. I love and celebrate Christmas, but if someone else in my neighborhood doesn't want to, I'm not gonna get all up in arms about it, but some things end up happening towards the end that I thought were really funny and kind of made for a nice twist, I felt. So overall, 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it. The next books were rereads for me, and I was sick. I had the stomach flu for about a week, and so I didn't have anything to do, and I was like, I need a comfort read. I need something that I already know that I'm going to love. And so I reread the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, all three of them. I reread them while I was sick in bed. So Once Upon a Broken Heart, The Ballad of Never After, and A Curse for True Love. These are all by Stephanie Garber. My favorite book series of 2024. I absolutely adore these books, hence me rereading them. And I read one each in a day because I adore them so much. And I loved being back in this world. So 5 stars again with the reread, 5 stars for all three of them. Adored them. Okay, and then after that, I reread the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. You're like, what? I reread them with audio. I decided to listen to them on audio. I'm not normally an audiobook person, but I saw that they were free on YouTube actually. The audiobooks were free, and I was like, you know what? I'm not ready to leave the Magnificent North, which is where these take place, and the characters that I love so much. I'm not ready to leave them, so let me check out the audiobooks. And so that's what I did, and I ended up enjoying them, obviously, because I reread them again for the second time in January. You guys, when I love something, I love something. I love it. And so, yes, this is my newest obsession. So, it's become a part of my life. Anyway, so if you are interested in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy by Stephanie Garber, I do recommend reading the Caraval series first. It's not an absolute necessity. It does take place in the same world though, and you get some backstory to some characters that end up in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. One specifically that ends up being a main character in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy comes to play in the Caraval series. You're introduced to them in the second book. So in my opinion, I feel like to get an overall grasp and sense of the characters and their backstory and the world, that you should read that series first. But again, it's not absolutely necessary, but I'm one that likes to see those things. I like to have the complete picture of everything. So anyway, just to let you know, I do really enjoy that series too, but it's not an absolute love like the Once Upon a Broken Heart, but I do still recommend them. Okay, moving on to something that is not Once Upon a Broken Heart. The next book I read is Just Like Magic by Sarah Hoggle. This is a Christmassy book, and I gave it 4.75 stars. It was so fun. It would have ended up being probably a 5 stars read for me, but there was a lot more bad language in it than I would really like. Well, I don't like any bad language, but I'm very sensitive to those things, and so it does take me out of the story. So because of that, it dropped down a quarter point for me. But it is about a girl named Betty, and she is the granddaughter of a famous movie star, and growing up, she was always compared to her, and so she kind of has this chip on her shoulders. And she ends up becoming this social media influencer and has a lot of money, had a lot of money. At the beginning of the story, you find out she's lost all her money, but her family doesn't know about it. And so she is kind of hiding out in the town where her grandmother and grandfather live and kind of squatting in someone's house. And it's a few days before Christmas. She's there because she's expected to go to her grandparents for the week of Christmas with the rest of her family. And she, because of her situation, she's bitter, and she ends up getting drunk and playing a record backwards, Mariah Carey's song, All I Want for Christmas Is You. She ends up accidentally playing it backwards on a record player, and it causes this like magical occurrence to happen, to where this guy named Hall, short for Holiday Magic or Holiday Cheer, he's the ghost or the spirit of holiday magic is what he is. He ends up coming to her because she did that. And he's there to help her grant her wishes and help her to be happy, type of thing, holiday cheer. And so this book had me cracking up. It is so funny, so charming. At the beginning, you don't really like Betty all that much. Like I said, she is bitter. She is selfish, self-centered. She thinks no one in her family loves her, type of thing. And you come to find out why she is the way she is at the beginning. But you come to see her slowly change and evolve into someone that thinks of others more than herself, and letting go of the past and becoming her own person, figuring out what she wants out of life. And there is a sweet love story in this. It was so cute. Like I said, love this. There is no spice in it at all. There's a couple kisses and that's it. But so funny, so cute. It just gives you those Christmassy feels. So if you're looking next year, since Christmas is over, for a great holiday read, I definitely recommend Just Like Magic by Sarah Hoggle. It was so, so cute. So that is that. Okay, next after that, I read a classic. Oh, and did I? No, I didn't. Okay. I was looking at my prompts. I was like, which ones were prompts? This one is a prompt. So this was part of the TBR prompt, and it was, what was this one? Oh, and I had a bookmark still in there. Read a book written at least 100 years ago. So Persuasion definitely fit that bill. This is by Jane Austen. I've watched many iterations of movies about this story, but this is the first time I've actually read the book. And definitely the book is better. I have to give it what did I give it? Yeah, 4.5 stars. This is a great classic. And Captain Wentworth is like the epitome of a amazing book boyfriend. He is awesome. And so this is a story about Anne, right? Anne Elliot, who ends up being influenced by her family and a person. What was her name? I can't even remember what her name is. Yeah, I don't remember. She was like a mentor, like a mother almost. It was her mother's best friend. She was like a godmother to Anne. She ends up being influenced by her and her family when she was younger to break off her engagement, or almost engagement, to Captain Wentworth, because he wasn't a person of position. He was below her, and he didn't have at that point in time anything in the way of money, type of thing. And so even though she loved him deeply, she ended up breaking things off with him because she was a part of high society and she was influenced by that. And throughout the years, I think it's like 9 years later, if I'm remembering right, she hasn't married. She still loves him. And he ends up coming back with some other people. Her family ends up kind of being in dire straits to where they need to rent out their country estate. And her father and her older sister moved to Bath, and then she ends up moving and helping her younger sister with their family. And the people that end up renting their home is I think the over Captain Wentworth. So anyway, but they're close friends. And so anyway, a bunch of things happen to where she ends up coming back into contact with Captain Wentworth, and a bunch of different things take place. Obviously, the banter is great. Anne is a very sweet character. She's not my favorite Jane Austen character, though, just because she felt kind of like a pushover at times. She was very quiet, and like I said, influenced, at least when she was younger, more easily influenced by people that were kind of in positions of authority to her that she cared about. But she's loving, she cares about her family, and she's smart for sure. She observes things around her to where she's able to help those around her that she cares about. So it's a sweet love story. One of the best letters ever in a book, I feel, is written in this, Captain Wentworth to Anne. So sweet, tug at your heartstrings, make you swoon type of letter. So I do really highly recommend Persuasion. I did really enjoy it. My favorite Jane Austen is still it is Emma. Emma's my favorite. I know that's a polarizing one for people, but I love Emma. Emma cracks me up, and I love to see the change in her from the beginning to the end. Maybe not that I was a snob like Emma, but I kind of had that matchmaking thing when I was in college. And so I relate to that with Emma. But anyway, so Emma and Sense and Sensibility are probably my two favorite Jane Austen books, but I did really enjoy Persuasion. So Persuasion, 4.5 stars. Next, I read one of my books that was on my 25 books in 2025, and was this? No, this was just a title pick. It is Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones, and I gave this one a 4-star. This is about a girl named Sophie Hatter who works in her father's hat store. Her father passes away. She has 2 sisters, and she ends up working in the hat store with her stepmother. While she's there, she gets cursed by a witch made to look, so she looks like she's a 80-year-old woman, even though she's in her 20s, young 20s. And because of that, she decides to leave the hat store and make it on her own to find out what she's going to do with her life. She ends up coming across Howl's Moving Castle that's up in the foothills of their village, and people think the wizard Howl is evil, pretty much, there to steal girls' hearts and eat them and live forever type of thing. So she ends up journeying to where she comes to Howl's castle. She ends up getting into his castle, and she becomes like the housekeeper pretty much for Howl and the rest of the characters that are there. Michael, who is Howl's apprentice, and Calcifer, who is like a fire demon who helps run everything. They're in the castle, and so the story stems from there. You find out that Howl isn't what he seems. There's a curse on him as well that he's trying to break, And yeah, it was really cute. I did really enjoy it. I didn't absolutely adore it like I thought I was going to. I think that was one of my books that I was a 5-star prediction. And yeah, it was a 5-star prediction for me for the first quarter. If you watch that video, I will link it at the end. It was 4 stars, so it didn't get the 5 stars from me. I thought there would be more of a love story to it. There kind of was, but I thought there would be more. At the end, it was kind of more of that insta love for me at the end, rather than there being any like real like love relationship developed through the story. But I still really enjoyed it. It was whimsical, it was fun, and yeah, I enjoyed it. So that is Howl's Moving Castle. The next one I read was actually a short story, and this is The Wood at Midwinter by Susanna Clarke. And this I gave a 3-star to. It's about a girl named Merodis, and she has this connection with animals and with nature, and she ends up going, her sister takes her to the woods, where she likes to like commune with nature, and she ends up coming, I don't really want to say too much because it'll kind of spoil the story, but she ends up coming across something that she wants to take care of. And yeah, it was a very wintry read. I've heard that this takes place in the same world as Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I think that's what the title was. I read like the first chapter of that book, and then I was bored, and so I didn't finish it. So I didn't have any like emotional connection to where I was disappointed, because even though it takes place in that world, there isn't like, it didn't feel like there was a connection to the book because I wasn't lost or anything at all. So it was nice. It was sweet. It was kind of a neat wintry fantasy type story. So The Wood at Midwinter, 3 stars. The next one I read was a prompt, and it was an element: water, air, earth, or fire. And I read Snow and Rose by Emily Winfield Martin. So this is a middle grade book, and this one I gave 3.5 stars to, partly because the artwork in it is so neat, charming, so sweet. So this is a reimagining of Snow White and Rose Red fairy tale. And so it's about Snow and Rose, who are sisters. Their dad ends up going off into the woods to, I don't even remember why, for some reason. He needed to go off into the woods, and he ends up never coming back. And so because of that, the sisters and their mom end up needing to leave the country estate they live in and move off to this little cabin in the woods. And from there, the story takes place. They're able to, at first, they're kind of angry and bitter about having to move, and their mom is distant. And so it's about the sisters' relationship, because their mom in the beginning is still grieving the loss of her husband. And so it's about their time in the woods and learning to enjoy their time there. And there are some magical, whimsical things that happen. They meet a boy who becomes a really good friend of theirs named Ivo. He and his family are like mushroom farmers in the woods, and they come across this little man. He's like a gnome or something like that, that they help a couple times, and end up finding out that a bunch of people have been disappearing, not just their dad, but they don't know why or what. And so there's like a mystery kind of surrounding everything. It was really cute. It was really sweet. I did really enjoy it. 3.5 stars. So that is Snow and Rose. Okay, next is a 5-star read for me, and this is one that is a new book to me. So it is The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year by Ally Carter. This was such a fun book. I really did enjoy this book a lot. Obviously 5 stars. So this is about a girl, or a lady, she's not really a girl, a lady named Maggie Chase. She is an author. She writes mysteries. And then also another author named Ethan Wyatt, who also writes mystery type books, but they're more along the lines of like adventure mystery novels. Those that end up being made into movies type of thing. So they both get invited for Christmas to England. Sorry, guys. Okay, so they get invited to this estate in England. They don't know when they go, who invited them, what it is exactly. And Maggie is very anti-Christmas because bad things happen to her all the time at Christmas. And they get there and find out it is the home of Maggie's all-time favorite mystery writer. Think like Agatha Christie type of famous mystery writer named Eleanor Ashley. She's invited them there with a bunch of her family and another author to celebrate Christmas. And then as they're there, at the end of the night, Eleanor ends up going into her office to work on a book that she's working on. And next thing you know, she's disappeared. And the door's locked. There's no way to get out. It's like on the 2nd or 3rd floor, and no one knows where she is. So it's a mystery. And but it was a mystery I really enjoyed. It was a mystery romance because there is romance in it as well. I really did enjoy the relationship between Maggie and Ethan. They're kind of enemies at the beginning, and then it develops from there. So enemies to lovers type of trope, and it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of good banter to it, and there's mysteries, but there's like mysteries within mysteries. There's like lots of different like things happening. And yeah, it's really fun. I really enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, 5 stars. I definitely recommend that one. It wasn't overly Christmassy. I still feel like reading it in January, it didn't feel like it was out of place. Whereas the Just Like Magic was more Christmassy, I feel like. This was Christmassy, but not to where I don't feel like you can't read it in the winter as well. But highly recommend if you do want to wait until Christmas time this year, then do that for sure. Okay, the one I read after that was Hotel Magnifique by Emily J. Taylor. This one I gave 3 stars to. This also was on my 5-star prediction. Again, not 5 stars, so I'm batting 1,000 right now. But it was a 3-star. I did enjoy it. It was about a girl named Janny and her sister Zosa, and they are working for pennies. They live in this place. I can't remember the name of the place, but they've moved to this place to try and find a better life after their parents have passed away. And Gianni moves them to the city is pretty much what it is. And they're not doing very well. But there's this magical hotel that comes around every so often, and it ends up it wants to hire people. And so they go to try and be hired by the hotel. Her sister Zosa sings. She's a singer, has a beautiful voice. She ends up getting hired. And through finagling, Gianni also ends up at the hotel being hired. And there is more to the hotel than meets the eye. There is kind of a mystery behind everything. And they're in a place, a world where magic is kind of dangerous outside of the hotel. But in the Hotel Magnifique, the maitre d', I think is what was his name? I don't even remember now. Let me see. Alistair, that's right. He is the one that like keeps magic safe for those that have magical abilities. So those that have magic come to the hotel and he keeps magic safe. So that's where it starts, but there is a mystery and things aren't as they seem. So I enjoyed it. It was good. Like I said, 3 stars, but it wasn't exactly the feeling I was hoping to get from it. But the main character, mainly it was the main character, she was kind of a little grating on my nerves in that she was one of those characters that was stubborn just for the sake of being stubborn, kind of. No matter what may make sense in trying to cooperate, maybe this would be a better thing to do. She was kind of one of those like, no, I'm going to do it my way or no way at all. Like, so being stubborn for no reason is pretty much what it was. So she kind of got on my nerves a bit. I understood her wanting to protect her sister and all that, but it got to the point where it was just, like I said, being stubborn for the sake of being stubborn. So I wasn't very much a fan of that, but overall the characters were fine. Okay, the last book I read in January was The Bear and the Nightingale by Katherine Arden. And this one, I'm sorry to say, I gave, and what was it? 2.752. So this was for my prompt, strong female character. So yeah, 2.75. I really thought that I would like this one a lot more than I ended up liking it. I really liked the main character, Vasya or Vasilisa. There's multiple, people have like multiple names, like nickname type of things in the story. So it kind of got hard to keep track of, now who is this? Oh yeah, this is that person, just going by a different name. So this is kind of like a Russian fairy tale. It takes place in like the 15th century. So even before Russia was considered Russia, really. But the people at that time, they're, I don't even know what religion it was. It was a Christian religion, maybe, or like Orthodox religion. Catholic, possibly. I'm not actually sure. One of those. It was at that time, Christianity was had taken a hold on the country, and so at the same time, people still had their folklore, their beliefs in folklore type things too. Well, Vasilisa has a connection from her mother's side. Her mother's side came from magic, pretty much. And Vasya has a connection to that. And she sees like the spirits of different things. Like spirits in, like, think fae or her, that sort of thing. And so she knows that there's a natural connection to things as well. Well, her mother dies in childbirth. And for a while there, she grows up without a mother. But then her father feels like she needs a mother because she's wild, kind of. But not wild in a bad way, but wild, like not in a kosher way for girls to be at that time. And so he goes off and he ends up being forced by the prince to marry someone who actually is like a cousin to the children in here. So they are related through her mother's side. And this girl also sees the Fae, but she thinks they're demons, and she flips out all the time, and she thinks she's possessed and being haunted and blah blah blah. So she's very like devout religious to the Orthodox Church, and through that she ends up bringing this preacher. This priest comes after the priest in the village passes away, comes, and he's like very much a religious zealot. And so the conflict starts from there with Vasya and the others who believe in the Orthodox Church, but at the same time don't see, Vasya specifically, see any harm in also paying homage to nature and these Fae who actually help their village and their surroundings. So that's kind of where it starts. It's very slow going. It only got 2.5 stars because it was very slow, and there wasn't much in the way of the fantasy elements, like for the first half of the book, really. And I went into it thinking it was going to be like full-on fairy tale fantasy, but there's a lot of that, not a lot of that. And then at the end, the last part of it is where you get the main focus on the fantasy conflict type of part of the story. And I just wasn't feeling it. The writing was beautiful. Yeah, prose definitely beautiful. It was wonderfully written for sure. I just didn't feel an emotional connection to it, even though, like I said, I enjoyed the main character a lot. And her sibling, her brother, I can't remember his name now. What was his name? I don't remember. The connection she had with him, the connection she had with the natural world, I did enjoy. I did enjoy her father, Piotr, and her kind of like nursemaid who grew up with them, took care of the children, Dunya. I did enjoy them. Constantine, who was the priest, he was definitely icky. I didn't like him, which we weren't supposed to like him, obviously. Like I said, he was like a religious zealot. And the stepmother didn't like her either. She was kind of off her rocker. So anyway, so character-wise, it was good. Story-wise, it was good. It just wasn't what I was expecting. And so it was disappointing for me. So 2.5 stars. But I do know that is a really beloved book by a lot of people. Just wasn't what I was looking for. Okay, that's it. So that's the 15 books I read. Stick around now for the home fragrance that I did use for each of the books, ones that I recommend. A lot of these, I'll let you know if they're retired or ones you can get now, because quite a few of them are retired. But let's jump into it. So with Skipping Christmas, I chose Frosted Cedar. This is a nice, it's a nice like cedar wintry scent without being like in your face Christmassy. And I felt that would be a nice choice for skipping Christmas, since they were trying to skip Christmas. So this is cedar, apple, and I think there's some sort of evergreen as well besides the cedar. So that's that one. So for the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, because I was sick, I ended up and then reading it on audio after that. I didn't have anything specific that I was melting with those. And the next one though, Just Like Magic, and let me see if I can get to them. So Just Like Magic, I ended up choosing, where is it? Rum Pum Plum, which you can get. Frosted Cedar you can get as well. So Rum Pum Plum is a like plum pastry type of scent. Really good, Christmassy bakery sweetness. It felt like it would work really well with Hall, him being Christmas cheer. It felt like it was a good fit for sure. Then after that, for Persuasion, I just had to do Winterberry Apple Tea. One of my all-time like winter favorites. I love this scent so much. This is also available. And it's so good. Winter berry. So it's berries, apples, honey, and tea. And it's amazing. I love it so much. Okay, then after that, for Howl's Moving Castle, I had to go with, I just had to, Wicked, Emerald City. So, you know, witches and wizards in Oz. And so it felt like it would be a good fit for Howl's Moving Castle. This one, unfortunately, is not available anymore. It retired at the end of January, but it works so well. Then after that, for Wood in Midwinter, I melted a wintry scent, Icicles and Evergreen. This is no longer available. Retired last year, I think it was, or the year before. But it was a nice woodsy, wintry scent. Then after that one, for Snow and Rose, I went with Cinnamon Pine Cones. This one just felt like a nice cozy cabin-y scent, a cabin in the woods type of fragrance. To me, it's like a Victorian Christmas scent, and I adore it. You can get this one on my website for sure now through the end of this month. Then after that, the most wonderful crime of the year, I had to choose the scent Pixie. This one, I know it's part of the Bring Back My Bar, which may still be available. I haven't checked my website in the last day or so. It was supposed to retire at the end of January, but they had still kept them up as a couple days ago, but I haven't checked as I'm recording this video, so I'm not sure. But Pixie is a really nice perfumey, like wintry perfume type scent. And it just felt like one that would fit really well. I just like that scent. Then after that, for Hotel Magnifique, I chose Warm Winter Night. This one is no longer available. It was part of the Bricks in the holiday season. This was like bourbon and I can't even remember what other notes was in this. Maybe lemon and something else. It just felt like one that would be a good kind of like scent that would match like a magical hotel. So that's the one I went with for that one. And then for the last one, for The Bear and the Nightingale, I decided to go with Cedar Cider, which to me is a very like old-fashioned woodsy type of fragrance. So it felt like it fit really well with the Russian fairy tale type vibes that I get from The Bear and the Nightingale. This one is available too. So that's it, you guys. That is everything that I read and that I used along with the books. So let me know down in the comments, have you read any of these books, or what did you read in January, or what was your favorite read in January? I would love to know that. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I appreciate all of you guys. Please like and subscribe if you haven't yet. And until next time, TTFN. Ta-ta for now.